Hello friends and welcome back to Silverhawk Farm. My name is Bree and we are in my garden today. I have a short amount of time before I need to go meet some friends for happy hour, so we're going to do a small amount of tomato maintenance, and I thought I would turn on the camera and show you all around a little bit. So this is my raised bed space. I have some perennials planted outside of this, and I also have a space that I'm about to prep for a fall garden. I just got a silage tarp, which is basically just a big tarp that's very thick and allows you to block out the sun and let weeds die underneath it, and then you can plant in that area without having to till, which I'm excited for. So we're going to be prepping that really soon as in-ground space, but for right now we're focused on the above ground raised beds. We put these in, I believe, the first year we got here, so 2019 it would have been, and they're wonderful. They're really great. We didn't do anything fancy. They're just 8-inch boards. We did go for I can't recall if we did pine or if we did pressure treated lumber. I do a lot right now. My default is kind of pressure treated lumber because it's so much cheaper than the cedar that would last a long time. So just as kind of an overview of what our vibe is here. So we've got quite a bit growing along this fence as you come in. Grapes and raspberries along the edge here. That mess of weeds behind that is full of perennials. I need to clear the space up, so we're not going there right now. And then most of my plants are still pretty small, especially for this point in the season. My starts got stunted at the beginning of the season, so I ended up purchasing a few plants just to get early season harvest, and then the rest is just gonna come in a little bit later, which is totally fine. So this is asparagus. This makes me so happy. Asparagus, if you've never seen asparagus growing, it's hilarious. Asparagus starts out as a tiny little shoot that comes out of the ground. This is what you're used to eating, and I could pick this guy right now, like that's edible, and that's right about the same right size you would want to. And then if you don't pick them, they turn into this. And these are all taller than me, and they're falling over. So usually what I have to do is get like some twine in order to tie them up so that we don't accidentally mow over them. But they get so tall. Oh no! They get so tall, and honestly I think they're just pretty. And then we've got some cucumbers and tomatoes going on over here. Some volunteer garlic. These beds look really sparse, but I have a lot of things that take up a lot of space planted in them, so I'm waiting for those to fill in a bit before I figure out what else I want to put along the edges. And then this bed is almost entirely bush beans, except for a few volunteer garlic that got missed last year. And I'm planning to be able to do some pressure canning of some green beans, which I've never done before, and I'm very excited about. So looking forward to that, and I know it's a little bit late in the season, but we have a really long season, so I'm not too worried about those being able to harvest, being able to produce. This guy looks a little bit rough. I did run irrigation some yesterday, so I'm not super worried about it, but if we don't get rain today, I'll probably run it tomorrow. And this is where we're gonna be working. We've got these beds along here that these are 16 feet, these are 12 feet, and then the other 4 on the other side are 8 feet each. And we've got these lovely cattle panel trellises. Right, so our plan for today is going to be to get stuff tied up. This guy's already tied up a little bit. I think he's all right for the moment. And I'm also going to be single stemming my tomatoes, and I'll show you what that is here in just a moment. But basically, single stemming is really helpful for if you're trying to get it to grow up and not necessarily bush out as much. And that allows you to keep the airflow a little bit better so that disease and things like that are less of an issue. So basically for single stemming, there are little sprouts that will grow kind of in what if you've heard people call the armpits of the branches. And this will basically grow its own like main stem off of the plant. And it'll bush up real big, but it'll still produce very well if you don't do that. And so what I want here is for my plants to grow up as far as they can and as tall as they can, because the taller parts are going to get, it's just going to spread the fruit out more. It's going to be more off the ground for pests. It's just a good system. So I'm just going through and picking the smaller ones that are just easy. And then with some bigger ones, such as this one right here. It's almost hard to tell which of these is the actual stem. But if you look at kind of the shape of this, it's this guy in the middle is the sucker, is what they call them. And I would use my garden shears, but I can't find them. So I'm using scissors, and you just snip that off. And if you want, if there's a big one, like there are some that get really big if you don't catch them quickly, you can put this in some water. It'll sprout roots, and then you can grow it as its own plant. This one's pretty small, so I'm just gonna toss it on the bottom, cover the roots a little bit. This one I don't mess with the very top of it, because I have accidentally topped plants before, and if you top an indeterminate tomato, it's going to not grow up anymore. Oh no! I just noticed this guy got snapped, which is probably some kind of animal sneaking into my garden, so that's not fun. I do have this lovely borage. Isn't this lovely? This is an edible flower, and it self-seeds really well, and it gets lots and lots of bees. So I was hoping to bring it in as a bee friend. So I am going to be going along here and making sure that all of the tomatoes are tied up. I use this tape. You can get it anywhere, like gardening stuff. I think I've got mine on Amazon. But basically, it's kind of stretchy, and it's very easy to just pull off, so you don't need to like walk around with scissors and things. It's super helpful. I would recommend something like that. You can use something like pantyhose. I wouldn't recommend zip ties, because as the tomato grows, the zip ties are so inflexible that they can make it so that it cuts into the stem and like is more prone to disease and bleh. I wouldn't use them. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the suckers off all of these, tie off any that look like they need to be tied off, and then I'm gonna move to the next row, because we've got 4 rows of this to do. And hopefully I can knock that out before we have to go, but I will come back tomorrow and finish up if not. Alright friends, sorry for the abrupt cutoff on the previous segment. It's actually a couple of days later. It is a lovely Sunday morning, and it is actually Father's Day. So I am about to go make some French toast after doing all of my morning chores and feeding all of these very loud birds. And I just wanted to pop out to close out the video, and I did manage to get the tomatoes tied up, and all of them single-stemmed that are on the far beds behind here. The front tomatoes, there's just a handful I put up front, and some of those still need to be tied up. So we've got those finished up, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do the mulching this week, which will help keep the soil temperatures a little bit lower. It seems like everything's been getting too hot and dried out with just the bare soil. So I'll keep you all posted as I make progress on the upcoming projects, and I really appreciate y'all hanging out with me while I get some work done here in the garden. Okay, bye-bye!